Okay, so we have to finish on that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillahi allazi nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd, fa'auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Say the du'as with me loudly, which increase us in knowledge. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidna ilma. Allahumma faqqihna fid din. Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna ma yanfa'una wa zidna ilma. So today we'll story night and we'll study about Sualaiman alayhi salam. Now first of all tell me, Sualaiman alayhi salam was sent to which nation? Bani Israel. Bani Israel. Like Musa alayhi salam was also sent to Bani Israel, right? Sualaiman alayhi salam had a very blessed family background. He was a member of the clan of Bani Israel, see? And of the same lineage as the Prophet Yaqub and Ibrahim alayhi salam. So Yaqub alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam were also sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to which nation? Bani Israel. His father was none other than the great prophet and king. What was his father's name? Sualaiman alayhi salam's father? Daud alayhi salam. So they both were king. Daud alayhi salam was also king and his son Sualaiman alayhi salam was also a king. His mother was also very special. She was a very noble and pious woman who taught Sualaiman alayhi salam many things. What the mother does? The first school is mother, right? Mother teaches a lot to the kids before sending them to school. Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu even spoke of her saying, so Prophet is telling us about Sualaiman's mother. So Prophet said, once Sualaiman's mother told him, son, do not sleep all night because spending most of the night in sleep deprives the person from good deeds on the day of judgment. This is a riwayah from Ibn Majah. Actually what happens, so you must have seen the pious people, the old people, what they do. They get up before Fajr Salah and they offer tahajjud, the night prayer, you know that? So they get the spirit, they get the strength, the spiritual strength. So now the talents and abilities of Sualaiman alayhi salam. Like his father, who was his father? Daud alayhi salam. Prophet Sualaiman alayhi salam was blessed with many abilities and powers. He was able to understand the languages of the birds and the animals, and he could speak with them. Now from where we come to know that he could speak with them? There's an ayah number. I'll tell you the ayah number. You just write the ayah number. Surah An-Namal, ayah number 16. Tell us what the Surah Namal ayah number 16 tell us, that he could speak with the animals. Okay. Prophet Sualaiman alayhi salam even had birds at his side in his palace. This we come to know from Surah Namal. The whole story is where? In Surah Namal and Surah Al-Anbiya. Surah Al-Namal ayah 17 tell us. Okay. The birds served as members of his forces. So he had a great force. In his forces there were jinns, there were birds, there were animals, right? When he went into battle, the birds would fly by the side of his army. These birds would act as his scouts or messengers. Like we keep the scouts. You've seen the scouts in dresses, different dresses and all. So these birds were his scouts and messengers. Within minutes they could fly away and spot the enemy or get information of Sualaiman alayhi salam. So amazing. Within minutes they used to fly and they used to get the information about the enemies. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also made Sualaiman alayhi salam the king of the jinns. He was the king of the jinns. So it was his own abilities, or this was bestowed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody can do anything. Nobody is capable to do anything until and unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes somebody capable of that. Jinns are beings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created from fire. Jinns are created from what? Fire. And we are created from clay. They are usually invisible. Can you see the jinns? No, they are invisible. But they may sometimes change their forms and be seen by humans. How they change their forms? Sometimes they change themselves to snake, and sometimes cats. These they can change. We can't change ourselves because we are made of clay, so we can't change. As their king, Sualaiman alayhi salam was in control of all the jinns. When he gave them orders, they had to obey. This was the miracles, right? All the miracles of Suleiman. Whenever he needed help or assistance, he would summon them. What does summon means? Order them. He would order them. At his command, they would build magnificent palaces and beautiful gardens right before his eyes. See the miracle? During battles and conflicts, they would also serve as soldiers in Prophet Suleiman and Salam's mighty army. So the jinns were the soldiers also in the battles. Even the evil jinns who did not want to follow his orders were forced to by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to follow Suleiman alayhi salam, and this we come to know from Surah As-Saba ayah 30. Surah As-Saba ayah 30. This is all interpretation of the meaning. We are not quoting the ayahs, right? So you can just go home and see. Another gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given Prophet Suleiman alayhi salam was power over the wind. And from where we come to know about the wind? Suratul Anbiya, ayah number 81. From there you learn about the wind. With one command, he could change the direction and the strength of the wind. When he traveled, he would order the wind to blow in the same direction he was going. You know, if you go against the wind direction, what happens? It's very difficult to walk. And you know, especially when the ship is in the sea, when it goes against the direction, it's difficult. The wind would carry him to his destination much quicker because the wind was in his control. He could travel the distance of 1 month's journey in a single day or single night. Subhanallah. How fast he used to cover the distance? 1 month's journey in 1 day or 1 night. It means today we have got what? Aeroplanes, flights. It means at that time also it was possible in the time of Suleiman alayhi salam. Even though the wind was very strong and powerful, it became gentle and did not harm Prophet Suleiman alayhi salam. You know, when there is a wind blowing over here, we live in such a country that it's the coldest country. We see snow and dews and everything. So have you ever noticed that sometimes you're walking on the road, on the streets, you feel that wind is pushing you. It is so powerful. And just imagine, by the will of Allah, and this was a miracle, that it was in his control. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam wahi. What is wahi? Revelations. All the prophets are given what? Wahi. For the guidance of whom? For the guidance of the people, for their nations. Wahi, revelations, as a way of giving him messages. Through these messages, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Sulaiman alayhi salam ilm, knowledge. How prophets are given knowledge? Through revelations, through wahi. And hikmah, wisdom. So all the prophets are given ilm, knowledge, and hikmah, wisdom, through the messages from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is called revelation or wahi. Allah's wahi would also come down to Sulaiman alayhi salam and help him make wise decisions, just as they help his father Dawood alayhi salam to do the same. It means that Allah used to send the messages to Dawood alayhi salam also, his father also, and the son Sulaiman alayhi salam also. The messages from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came to him to help him decide issues dealing with his people, and also for deciding strategies in battles. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed Sulaiman alayhi salam with all of these abilities to help him in his role as a prophet and as a messenger. One very special gift he had given Sulaiman alayhi salam was hikmah. What is hikmah? Wisdom. And without wisdom you are nothing. If you don't have wisdom, you know, things doesn't turn out good. Was hikmah. The ability to make wise decision like his father had before him. From where we come to know this? Suratul Anbiya, ayah 79. Suratul Anbiya, ayah 79. Sulaiman alayhi salam displayed this ability from a very young age. So he know the wisdom from very young age. Who? Sulaiman alayhi salam. When he helped his father come to a decision in the case of the damaged crops. So this is an incident. This happened about the damaged crop. So we'll learn later. First we'll do the incidents which happened with Sulaiman alayhi salam. You know, I told you about the ant. Small ants. So the value of the ants. First we'll see that incident. This is very interesting. Once King Suleiman alayhi salam and his forces of jinns, birds and men were traveling on a journey. So his forces comprises of whom? Jinns, birds, men, they were all in a journey. On the way, they made their way through a valley known as the Valley of the Ants. It had this name because of the hundreds of thousands of ants that lived there. Why it was called the Valley of the Ants? Yeah. So it's a valley. So it was called valley. As Suleiman's forces rode through, the sound of their horses' hoofs striking the ground bounced off the high mountains and echoed throughout the valley. You know, where at the remote places there is a field and mountains. So what happens? The voice is echoed. And the sound of the hooves of the horses could be heard. So same thing happened. The weight of the many animals and people stomping on the background shook the earth. It happens because they have a force, the horses and so many, and it was a great army of birds and animals and so many horses. So what happened? The earth shook. And even you must have seen in the houses over here also. Those houses, those are on the street, on the roads. When there's some trailers, some trucks, some big trailers which carry the loads, luggage, so a lot of food, and when it passes away, you feel like the houses are shaking. Have you ever felt? Yeah, I have experienced. You feel that as if your house is shaking. So ground shook the earth and kicked up a trail of dust, and dust also kicked. Trail of dust that followed behind the troops. Okay. So now what happened? Now listen, it's very interesting. One of the ants could sense the rumbling from far away. See, they are living being, no? So she sensed. And as the forces drew closer and closer to the ant colony, the ant realized that the rumbling was a group of people riding through the valley. They were near. The troop was coming to the valley. As he quickly looked around, the ant, he saw that his fellow ants were outside of their tunnels. They live in a tunnels, So what he found? That the fellow ants are out of the tunnels. The soldiers would never see them. Suleiman alayhi salam soldier would never. We never see. We walk and we don't know that the ant is crushed under our feet. We never know. So the soldiers would never see them. The soldiers could possibly trample and crush them without even knowing. And we don't come to know also. So same thing he thought, the ant, one of the ant. The thundering of the horses' hoofs grew louder and louder, and the ground shook more and more violently as Suleiman's forces approached. When they came near, it happens, when it's coming near. Hurry, yelled the ant, hurry, hurry. Suddenly, yelled the ant. Get inside your tunnels and homes. Get out of the way or you will be crushed. Subhanallah, see the ant. See, so tiny it is, just a dot. And see how much power Allah has given. Subhanallah, say Subhanallah. There is no time to waste. The ants immediately stopped whatever they had been doing and began to scurry in different directions, to save themselves. Here and there from where the army and the Suleiman alayhi salam were approaching, they tried to go to the different directions. There was great confusion as the insects ran for safety across the sand and over the rocks looking for shelter. Across the sand, on the rocks, wherever they found the shelter. It means they listen to each other. They have got a life. You see what is telling us? Okay. Prophet Suleiman alayhi salam, however, was able to understand the language of the ants when he heard the cries of the brave ant, because she was crying. Oh, where are you? What she said, I told you. She yelled, hurry, hurry, get inside your tunnels, get inside your home, get out of the way or you will be crushed. So Suleiman alayhi salam was able to understand the language of the ants. When he heard the cries of the brave ant, he smiled and thanked Allah. He was not proud. He smiled and he thanked Allah for blessing him with such a great gift. Really, it was a great gift to understand the language of the ant, such a dot-like thing. He ordered his troops to stop marching. So Suleiman alayhi salam, when he heard the ant yelling at the other fellow ants, what he ordered? His troops to stop. Stop marching. Just stop. He communicated to the king of the ants, Subhanallah, that the ants should not worry. It means they also have a king. See, we think we have a king. What it shows? So he communicated with the king that don't worry, When all the ants were safe and secure, they were on the rocks on the other side, Prophet Suleiman alayhi salam ordered his forces to continue on their way. He was so loving, caring, even for the ants. See, mashallah, through the valley of the ants. So then he said that they can go. So this was the story of, and you know what you learn from this. What you learn from this, the valley of the ant, the story of the valley of the ant. Tell me what you learn.
Like even the smallest thing has value in it, you know. And always like be kind no matter to who.
Yeah, they also have a value.
Yeah.
They are not insignificant. They are also the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The mosquitoes, the ant, they are not insignificant. We should value them. You are correct. Anything you want to say?
It's like the ants, like they live in like a community. They're very strong.
Yeah.
You see how everyone like the ant that said, "Oh, go in your tunnels." Like he or she.
Yeah, he or she. We don't know.
All
Yeah.
the
But
ants.
this story says he. The
Yeah,
book says he.
You could relate to like humans, you know. We
Yeah.
should not fight. We should like care for
Yeah,
everyone else.
because they are living being.
Yeah.
So they also have a life, and they also care and love for their people, for their fellow ants and all. Okay, Hiba, what do you want to say? What you understood? Loudly.
You learn how peaceful and gentle Suleiman was, which is good because he has a whole entire army which is really huge compared to the ants. But he was able to stop the army, stop wherever they were about to go, and
Yeah.
for the small ants.
Yeah. So have you?
Like what she said, like they're a really big community, and like also he was really like nice, and he didn't want to destroy the lives of the ants because they work together as well as a community.
Yeah. And you have learned all this in the science. Which subjects you learned all this about the insects and in science?
Yeah. Science.
You are students. You all know. But the Quran. When we come to know through Quran, then we understand that this Quran is for us. Whatever we are, Allah is talking to us. Whatever we are facing, Quran is for us. Everything, Allah is addressing us, and it's according to our nature, according to our, what the happenings and what prevails in our life. So another incident, the Queen of Saba, she was called Sheba. Saba is the name of a place, Saba, and the queen who was ruling there, her name was Bilqis, Bilquis, okay, Bilqis, Bilquis. But it is said King of Saba, Malka Saba, Queen of Saba, not King, Queen of Saba. But actually her name was Bilqis, and the name of the place was Saba, S-A-B, Sheba, Saba or Sheba, S-H-E-B-A. On the east of King Suleiman's kingdom lived the Queen of Saba, Sheba. Saba was a powerful state with a great army. The Queen of Saba was a wise and intelligent lady named Bilqis. Bilquis also you can write, not necessary to write Quis, okay? Bilquis. She was loved and respected by her people because she was a queen. One of Suleiman's messenger birds, the hoopoe. How you pronounce Hoopoe? Hoopoe? Hoopoe?
Yeah.
The hoopoe bird had been to the queen's land and had seen a strange sight. The hoopoe went there. She was from the army of Suleiman alayhi salam. It went to the land of this Queen Bilqis, Queen of Saba, and there he saw a strange sight. Now what he saw? He had seen that the queen, even though she was intelligent, did not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it shows us that intelligent people worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they know they are going to go to Jannah, to the paradise. Our eternal abode is where? In the Jannah. This dunya is going to end. So she was being intelligent, she was not worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She and her people worshipped the sun. When the hoopoe returned to King Suleiman alayhi salam, he informed him of what he had seen. From where we come to know? From surah number is Suratul Namal, ayah 22 to 26. Suratul Namal, ayah 22 to 26. Okay. Suleiman alayhi salam listened very carefully to what the hoopoe had to say. And this hoopoe, this hoopoe used to smell the earth, the land, and he used to inform Sulaiman alayhi salam that there is a water. And when he used to say that we can, stay here for a while, because while in traveling, you need a rest. So they used to stop. When the hoopoe used to smell the land, the earth, and when the hoopoe used to say that we'll get the water here, because so large army, all the living things cannot live without water. So one of the work of the hoopoe was to smell the land and tell to Prophet Suleiman that there is a water and we can stay here. Okay, then the professor, what happened? As the hoopoe finished, Suleiman alayhi salam listened very carefully to what the hoopoe had to say, because he came from where? From the land of Queen of Saba, right? From Sheba. As the hoopoe finished his story, Prophet Suleiman's eyes suddenly twinkled. He had an idea. Prophet Suleiman alayhi salam wrote a letter to the Queen of Saba. Actually, her name is Bilqis, but she is called Queen of Saba, and ordered the hoopoe to deliver it to the queen. And what was the other duty of the hoopoe bird? To deliver the letters. Okay. The bird immediately flapped its wings, and with a whoosh, what they do? Whoosh. It was on its way. As the hoopoe approached Saba, a while later, it circled the queen's palace. He started circling, going round and round, before swooping in and dropping the letter in a place where she would be sure to find it. Why he was circling? Why it was circling? The hoopoe bird? To find the proper place where he can throw the letter. The hoopoe then flew away. The birds are also so intelligent. See, the hoopoe bird is so intelligent. It knows where to throw. So he, went round and round, searching the place. The hoopoe then flew away out of the palace, disappearing into the sky. When the queen found the letter, she quickly showed it to her advisors. She had the ministers and the advisors in her ministry. The letter read, what the letter said? This letter is from Sulaiman alayhi salam, and it is in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. You see, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. What is beneficent was it? Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Okay. So all the prophets, what they do, they take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They start with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. In the name of Allah. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. The most beneficent, the merciful. You should not consider yourself to be a great person or better than me. To whom he is telling? To the Queen of Saba. You should embrace Islam and come to me as a Muslim. Where we come to know? From Surah An-Naml, Ayah 31. Where we come to know? Surah An-Naml, Ayah 31. Okay. It is just, I am telling all interpretation in the story. The advisors felt that there was no need to worry about starting a war because the army of Saba was very mighty and always ready for the battle. Who thought? The advisors thought. Because she has a strong army and always ready to battle. But they reminded the queen that she was responsible for making the final decision. So what they said, that you are the authority. You being a queen, you have to make the final decision. The wise queen did not want to create any danger for the people of Saba. Saba is the place, right? Though she did not accept Islam, she tried to win Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam by sending him some presents and gifts. Okay, and look, on the other hand, she was very, intelligent. She took the advices from the ministers and advisors and everybody. So this teaches us that we should always, have a good communication at your workplace, at your home, with your relatives, with your brothers and sisters, with your parents, because if she herself would have taken the decision, she would have wrote to Sulaiman alayhi salam, oh, I am embracing Islam, my people will also, coming into Islam. And what knows, if they would have said no, what would happen? There would have been internal fight. They would have been against the queen. You understand what I am telling you? So she was very intelligent. All the scholars who does the tashri, the tafsir, the explanation, they all say the same thing. What they say? She was a very intelligent. In the beginning also you read that she was an intelligent queen. See? So these lessons through Quran, what we learn? The lessons in our daily life, what to do. I always give you the example of our home. If you are doing a party, even the daughter is doing, the mother is doing. If you don't inform your mother, then what happened? Your mother is busy somewhere, she has to go somewhere. Even if your mother doesn't consult you, what will happen? You are busy, you have tests, you have assignments, and if it is through mutual consent and consideration and mutual advice, then everybody is helping your party. Somebody is making salad, somebody is arranging seating arrangement, or some or the other thing. So you get the support, and your people become your strength. So same thing happened. So now what they are replying? The final decision is yours. Though we have got always your army is Lord, and our army is always ready, but you being a queen, because she took their advice. So this is the thing. So what you are learning today, always discuss at your workplace also, and also because lack of communication bring lot of difficulties. So always talk. Allah has given you tongue for good things. You should talk, you should advise, take advice, give advice. When Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam received the gifts, and what she did? First, what she tried? Sending gifts. Now listen, this is very interesting. When Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam, are you enjoying this story night?
Yeah.
Because we are learning about Sulaiman alayhi salam. What we should try, that we should know the things in details. And when the ayahs will come, you will understand more. Okay. When Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam received the gifts from the queen, he felt insulted and became angry. He felt that the queen was trying to keep him quiet by giving him valuable goods. It happens. In dunya, you have seen people would send gifts to some, high leaders, some minister or some king, that he should be quiet. He told her messengers, "What is this? Do you think that your wealth will change my mind?" Whose messengers? Queen's messengers. What Prophet Sulaiman told her messengers, that do you think that your wealth will change my mind? And always remember that messengers and the prophets, they do the battle also for what? To spread Islam. First they will send the messages. They don't go for battle or war. First they send the messages of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then they will keep on sending messages. They will trying, they were propagating Islam, delivering speeches and everything, teaching them whatever the book they get, the revelation, and at last, what is the last resort? Battle. And battle also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran, never kill the women, the children, only fight with the army, and never destroy their gardens, their trees, their homes, never do that. This is the teaching of Islam. And battle also for what? Because sometimes they they oppress the people. So a time comes that you have to teach them. The blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me are better than the wealth which He has given you. I have got a better blessing than you. Tell your queen. Okay? Why she's sending me the gifts? I'll be quiet? No. You think your gifts are so great? Take them back and tell your queen that if she does not comply with my orders, I will invade Sabah. I will come to your territory. I will invade that. With a mighty army which you cannot beat. Where we come to know from? We come to know Surah An-Naml, ayah 36 to 37. So in your vacations, what you do? Read ayah Naml, Surah An-Naml. Okay? And Surah Al-Anbiya also. Because few ayahs were from Surah Al-Anbiya also, right? Okay. The queen's messengers looked at each other and in surprise. Because what people do? Why they were surprised? Because people take the gifts and they become happy. And they were surprised that, and then when the queen is sending the gifts, the queen's and king's gifts are very expensive one. And people take it. So they were surprised. They lowered their heads in fear and hurried back to their queen. They were scared and they hurried back to the queen. When Queen Bilqis heard what had happened from her messengers, she was very interested. She got interested. What type of king this is? He's not expecting, accepting these gifts also. So expensive gifts. She decided that she wanted to meet this powerful king named Suleiman to learn more about him and his religion. Because Prophet Sulaiman did the dawah work that you have to, accept Islam. He was not long before Prophet Sulaiman learned that the queen was planning to visit him. He was glad she was coming because it would give him a chance to show her Allah's glory. Why he was happy? Not for himself. Oh, I am visiting a queen of the other country. That she would see Allah's glory. Okay. A few days later, Prophet Sualaiman learned that queen was approaching his kingdom with her group of followers. He called his jinns and asked them, who called Sualaiman, which one of you can bring me the throne of the queen before she arrives? The throne of the queens. You all know the king and queens sit on the throne and then they govern their country. One of them replied, I will bring it to you before you can blink your eye. Instantly, before you blink your eye, instantly, the queen's throne appeared before Sualaiman alayhi salam. Subhanallah. He smiled and exclaimed, this has been possible by the grace of Allah. And throughout this, this surah also, Surah Al-Namal, Surah Al-Anbiya, we see that he is always thankful to Allah. He is never proud, Sualaiman alayhi salam, that this is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am not capable of to do anything. She is always thanking. Even he understood the language of the ants. He said, he thanked to Allah. He was grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He then ordered the jinn to change the appearance of the throne so that it no longer looked like the throne of the queen he was used to. When the queen arrived with the group, Sualaiman alayhi salam greeted her and asked her if she recognized the throne. Queen Bilqis stared at the throne for a while and thought to herself, it sure did look like hers, but hers was decorated a little differently. She began to wonder how it could be possible for anyone to have taken her throne while her guards were at the palace. The guards were at the palace, and she thought, how can somebody take when the guard was at the palace? Even if someone had taken the throne from a palace, how could they have returned to Sualaiman's kingdom before her and had enough time to change it? She slowly turned to Sualaiman alayhi salam and told him that her throne was similar, but was a little different in appearance. She said it was similar, but little, because Sualaiman alayhi salam asked the jinns to decorate. So this we learn from where? Surah An-Namal, ayah 41 to 42. Where this is in the ayah 41 to 42, Surah An-Namal. Okay. Then what happened? Sualaiman alayhi salam nodded, then motioned towards the palace. Bilqis turned towards the entrance of a beautiful palace that shimmered like a star. The jinns had been ordered by the Prophet Sualaiman alayhi salam to build it. It was made of marble and crystal. See, nowadays we use marble and crystal. This was used in the time of Sualaiman alayhi salam and was the most beautiful building Bilqis had ever seen. She never saw the building like this. She looked at Sualaiman alayhi salam, who once again motioned for her to step inside the entrance. As she began to place her foot in the entrance, Queen Bilqis noticed that the floor was covered with glistening water. She stopped herself and quickly tucked her dress up. Like you see the water, what you do? You tucked your dress up, your trouser up, above her ankles so that it would not get wet. She then carefully stepped into the palace. As she put her foot down, she was shocked to find out that her feet did not become wet, because it was like looking like water, no? Glittering and shining. She gasped, looking down at the ground, and then turned to Sualaiman alayhi salam for an explanation that though it looked like water, but my feet are not, wet. Prophet Sualaiman alayhi salam smiled at the queen and said, this is a palace that is paved with smooth slabs of shiny glass. These are qawarir. What is qawarir in Arabic? Glass. So shiny glass that she thought that it was water. And she tucked the trouser or whatever the dress up. Why? That it may not get wet. The glass is so shiny that it looks like sparkling water. Queen Bilqis could not believe what had just happened. She again looked at the floor, which looked like water, but was really solid and dry. At that moment, she realized that many times things are not what they may seem to be. Come on, give me an example. You thought something and it was something else. It happens in the life. Many times things are not what they may seem to be. It happens? Come on, tell me. Have you ever noticed?
I think there's there's like a bridge in China. If you walk on it, it looks like it's cracking. So people get scared, like it's
Yeah.
gonna break, but it's not. That's how
It's
it's
not.
designed.
Yeah, there are many things like that,
Yeah.
It seems, but they are not that. She and her people had worshipped the sun because it was bright and shiny, and they thought it was their god. Because why they worship sun? Because it was bright and shiny. But now she could see. That's why they thought that sun was their god, because it was bright and shiny. But now she could see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the only true God. All power belonged to him. The appearance of a throne and the water like glass in the palace were in festive signs of Allah's greatness. She realized that my throne is here. Although the guards were there. When the guards are there, how one can bring them? No, it's impossible. When the guards are there and with with sword and with their arms and ammunition, nobody can bring the. So, and she saw the water, most sparkling, and sun was also bright, and so they used to worship. So she saw that God is the signs of God's and greatness. She immediately cried out, "Oh my Lord, I have been wrong my whole life. Now I pledge myself with Suleiman alayhi salam to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the worlds." See? Rabbul Alameen. You see, the Lord of the worlds. From where we come to know this? From Surah An-Naml, ayah number 44. And the number of Surah An-Naml is 27. What does Naml means? Ant. Allah kept the name of the surah Ant due to this story, due to this incident. Now, Prophet Suleiman alayhi salam thanked to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for helping him guide the queen towards the right path. Again he is thanking that this is Allah who helped me to guide the queen. Queen Bilqis spent the rest of her life helping to convince others to believe only in Allah. Now she started the work. She convinced people to embrace Islam and believe in only one Allah, not sun and other people. So this is the story. Our time is also ending. I see the smallest one, and then we'll end. Otherwise, we'll continue next time. The other one was, I'll see how long it is, how many pages. Still we have 10 minutes. Yeah, we'll be able to finish. It's only 2 pages, okay. The other incidents happened in the life of, in the kingdom of Prophet Suleiman alayhi salam, was that the case of the damaged crops. The crops were damaged. Once 2 men needed to settle in an argument, okay. Some argument happened in between the 2 men. Knowing that King Dawood alayhi salam was fair and wise, they decided. Who was Dawood alayhi salam? His father. So they had an argument. So they thought that King Dawood is fair and wise. They decided to present their case to him. One of the men owned some crops, and the other one owned some sheep. What was the case? One owned what? Crops, and one owned sheep. Apparently the sheep had gotten loose from where their owner had kept them, and they had destroyed the crops of the other men. Understand? When the sheep are not in control, what happened? They'll go to any place, and they entered and destroyed the crops of the other men, which had the crops. Okay. The 2 men agreed on what had happened. They agreed that my sheep have destroyed your crops. Okay. But they disagreed on what would be a fair way to settle the disagreement, because the person who had the crop, he was in a loss, because he would have earned from the crops, right? If he would have sold the crops, he would have earned the money. So he was at a loss. After hearing the case, Prophet Dawood alayhi salam decided, now look, very interesting, that since the price of the sheep was equal to the cost of the damaged crops, the price of the sheep was equal to the damaged crop, the owner of the crop should get the sheep. What? The owner of the crop should get the sheep from that guy who had the crops, who had the sheep. Prophet Suleiman alayhi salam listened to the decision of his father. It was definitely a just decision, because the sheep had destroyed the crops. So the sheep should be given to the owner of the crops. But he felt that there might be a better one, better than this decision. You understand? What was the decision of Suleiman alayhi salam? That the sheep has destroyed the crops. So the owner of the sheep should give the sheep to the owner of the crops. Okay. Now Suleiman alayhi salam, listen this, what was happening between the two men, two guys, and the father, what the Dawud alayhi salam gave the decision. So although it was just and it was a wise decision, Suleiman alayhi salam listened to the father's decision. It was a definitely a just decision, but he felt that there might be a better one. So what is the better one? He politely said, "Oh father," after all he was a father, so he had to be polite, he had to respect the father. "Oh father, even though your ruling is fair, it would be better if the owner of the crop is given the sheep only until the crops are restored." You understand? Give for the short time. Until the crops are restored, he will water, he will put the fertilizer, whatever, and the crop will be restored. Till that time, the sheep should be with the owner of the crops. If the sheep are given permanently, then what the owner of the sheep is going to do? You follow? He will be at a loss. If he has got a sheep, he will also get money, like selling their milk and selling their things and their meat or everything. So you got a point. Is it the wiser decision than the father? And so polite Suleiman said. So politely he is telling to the father. So what we should do? We should yell before the parents. Even they are wrong, you have to be polite. In my thinking, I think we should tell this to Nani, we should say this to grandma, we should tell this to your friend, we should say this to the auntie. Instead of giving this gift, we should save this because Eid is approaching, so this is the better gift. So because we have to do things in a budget. I'm not telling you to stop your mom giving somebody. Allah is giving gifts, right? And you have to give to your relatives. Eid gifts. Children wait for grandma and aunties and uncle, they will give us some Eid. This is our festival. So if better thing comes in your mind, be polite to your parents. Okay. During this time, he can make money from the milk and the wool of the sheep to make up for the money he lost on the crops. You understand? During this time, till the crops are he get the crops again, till the crops are restored. What will happen during this time? He can make money from the milk and the wool of the sheep to make up for the money he lost the crops. He will take use of the sheep, right? When the crops are fully restored, the sheep should be returned to the original owner. So the owner of the sheep could be benefited, right? Now we also learned, wisdom, right? That if the decision is done, we should also think and we should listen carefully and we should be a good listener. Suleiman alayhi salam was a good listener. What the King Dawood, his father, was doing and telling, the decision and the ruling. If he wouldn't have listened carefully, oh, I am also a king and I am also a prophet, then what would happen? We should be a good listener also, and we should give the advice also. And we learn from here, if you have some good thing coming in your mind better than others' advice, you can tell them. Prophet Dawood alayhi salam smiled and nodded at the wiser decision his son had made. And parents should also listen to the children. And if something come out wiser or best than them, then they have decided, they should appreciate the children. The decision would allow the owner of the damaged crops to make money and would also give the owner of the sheep a chance to earn back his sheep. Where it comes, the ayah number, I'll give you the ayah reference. This we learn from ayah number Surah 78, Suratul Anbiya. Ayah number 78, Suratul Anbiya. Right? Okay. So what happened? Dawood alayhi salam changed his decision and accepted the judgment of young Suleiman alayhi salam. This decision was the first of many wise decisions given by Prophet Suleiman alayhi salam. Throughout his life, he had to make decisions on some very hard cases, because as a prophet, hard cases also used to come. Many times he used to come up with some different ways of finding out the truth. One example of such a case was the case of the arguing mothers. We have 10 minutes, I think. I see how much is that. Let me see. The arguing mother. There was once an older woman and a younger woman who lived in Suleiman's kingdom. Each of them had a baby son. What they had? A baby son. The older woman and a younger woman. The two women loved their sons more than anything else in the world. and they did everything they could to make sure that their babies were happy. So you can, teach many things by these stories to your younger brothers, sisters, right? Sometimes, these younger brothers, sisters, or the children of the sisters and brothers, they tell us to tell some story. And we don't have the real and true stories which teach them something. So you have these stories, right? You can tell them. Not 4 at all, because this is a class, so we do it. Okay. The 2 women loved their sons more than anything else in the world, and they did everything they could to make sure that their babies were happy. This is a very interesting story. Knowing well that the best gift a loving mother could give to a child is time, they spent as much time with their beautiful sons as they could. Both the women. One was older, one was younger. They had the sons. One night, a terrible thing happened. A wolf crept into the place where the woman kept their babies and ran away with one of the babies. The wolf came among the 2 babies, took the one baby. Both the mothers, the younger mother and the older mother, kept the baby at the same place. And the terrible thing was that the wolf came. And what the wolf did? Took the one baby. The next morning, the mothers began to argue about whose baby it was that was still alive. So one was alive, so they started arguing. Neither of them believed that it was their baby. They had been taken by the wolf. Both said, "This is my baby." The alive one was mine. The younger said, "Mine." The older woman said, "Mine." "This is my baby," yelled the older woman. "Give him back to me right now." "Never." "Look at his eyes," pointed the younger woman. "They are exactly like mine. It is your son who has been taken away by the wolf." They were arguing, both of them. As the 2 women screamed at each other, a crowd began to form around them. What will happen? When you shout, people will gather. As more and more people gathered around them, others heard the noise and came as well. Soon many people had gathered around the woman. Some of them even started joining in. "I know that baby. It belongs to the older woman." Those who know, they said, "It belongs to the older woman." "Why would she lie?" somebody exclaimed. "Are you crazy?" asked someone else. "That baby belongs to the younger woman. I am a close friend of hers." Some said of the older woman, some said, you're getting the point?
Yeah.
It seemed as if neither of the women was going to give in. Finally, because mothers, they love the child too much. Finally, the people decided that the only way to solve the problem was to take the 2 women to Prophet Dawood alayhis salam. Again, the father. After hearing both sides of the story very carefully, Prophet Dawood alayhis salam decided that the baby should be given to the elder lady. Right? The younger lady was not happy with this decision. She continued to argue that the baby was hers. So they took their case to Sualaiman alayhis salam. As he heard their case, Sualaiman alayhis salam knew that he would have to do something to find out which of the 2 babies was not telling the truth. Okay? Suddenly he had an idea. As soon as the women were finished telling their sides of the story, he stood up and said to one of his servants, "Bring me a knife. I think that the only fair thing to do is to cut the baby into 2 pieces and give each woman half of the baby." Understand? Because they both were arguing. This is mine, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. And Dawood alayhis salam gave the decision. Then what happened? Dawood alayhis salam decided the baby should be given to the elder lady. And the younger was not happy. So the people thought they'd go to whom? Dawood alayhis salam. So what happened? I think the only fair thing to do is to cut the baby into 2 pieces and give each woman half of the baby. From where we come to know? Ayah number? Wrote down the ayah. So this is a nice homework for you, right? No, it is in Sahih al-Bukhari, volume 4, 637b. Write down. And go to sunnah.com, you will find this hadith. Sahih al-Bukhari, volume 4 and 637b. Okay? Okay. You have to find this hadith. Okay? Sunnah.com, you will find. Okay. Now what happened? Okay. Where were we? Yes. Okay. Then what happened? Okay. Everyone in the room was shocked. Nobody said a word. How can somebody allow to cut the baby? How could he kill the baby? Had he suddenly lost his mind? The younger woman suddenly jumped forward to protect the little baby with her body. "No," she screamed. "Do not cut the baby," the younger one, because this was her child.
Yeah.
It was her child. "The older woman may have the baby. I will not argue anymore. Please leave the baby alone." She was ready to give the baby to the older woman because this was her baby. Because her baby, so she didn't want Suleiman alayhi salam to cut into pieces. Suleiman alayhi salam looked at the younger woman, whose eyes were filled with fear and concern for the baby's safety. Then he looked at the older woman, who had kept silent because it was not her baby. He knew that only a real mother would love a baby so much that she should give him away to save his life. Only a real mother would throw herself in front of a baby to save its life. He praised the younger woman for being so concerned about her child's life that she would even give it to the other woman to save it. She only wanted the life of the child. No matter I am not going to raise, the child will not be with me, but still the child would be alive with the other lady. The baby belongs to the younger woman, declared Suleiman alayhi salam, and he handed the baby to her. As she held her son, tears of joy ran down to her face. Sometimes people cry out of happiness and joy also. You know that?
Yeah.
An example? Have you seen?
Like
marriages,
yeah,
right?
marriage.
In marriage, yeah. You know, mother will keep saying, "Oh, may you get a good spouse," to the son, to the daughters also. And when the daughters are going, the last end of the story, the end of the wedding, when he's going with the bridegroom, with his husband, with her husband, mother starts crying, and that's the joy, out of joy. So now, what you learned, can 1 point each.
I learned about the ants. Like even the smallest creatures, you should really like respect them. Like he stopped his whole army, like his whole troops, just so they could go like to their holes.
Yeah, you, from all the 4 stories, from the notes, you can say, yes, loudly.
Suleiman was a good example of not showing pride. He was blessed with a lot of blessings by Allah, and he was also really wise. He's a magnificent ruler, and he knows this. He knows how much power he has, but at the end of the day, he's always thankful to Allah.
Yeah, Subhanallah. Jazakallah, both of you. You?
He has a lot of wisdom. He has like good judgment, and like from past experience from his father, he also has like lots of knowledge, so he knows how to like handle like arguments or decisions between people, because his father also had to like control big scenarios.
Yeah. So no matter somebody is younger than you, and if he or she is correct, her decision is better than you, his decision, you should listen to them, should give regard, because every person has been, Allah has created, everybody is in different capabilities, different skills you have, all the human beings are different, so we should accept somebody is better than me, knowledge is better than me, skills are better than me, we should accept. You?
I learned that Suleiman had like the ability to talk, not to talk, to understand like the ants' language, and then his forces were like the birds, the jinns, men, and the ants, correct?
Yeah. Firstly, he was not proud. He was always grateful and obliged to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should always be obliged and thankful and grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah says, La in shakartum la azidannakum. If you are grateful to me, I'll give you more. Wala in kafartum inna azabi la shadid. If you are ungrateful to me, then my torment, my punishment is great. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So anything you want to say, any other points?